Welcome to our Dynasty Builder here, and we are going with our Penn State Dynasty here, a full user league. And we're going to show you how to recruit here with a power school and how this philosophy and these concepts will apply to every kind of school. We just dropped a video on our South Alabama one. Go check that out for a small tier. We already got an insta commit. So here's the thing is I recorded this already and we were having some issues. So my board is already going to be set here, but I'm going to show you exactly the methodology I used behind this. When you're recruiting, regardless of school, the very number one thing you want to look at here is our team needs here at the top of the screen. You see we have all these different positional needs. I have not targeted a fullback or a punter yet, but I will end up probably targeting a punter later in the season. But anyways, so the first thing you identify when you come into recruiting, go to your prospect list, check out your team needs, and then here, while it's still on any and recommended, I always go and I hit X on Xbox or square on PlayStation to filter, so that way I get recruits that have me number one on their list at the very top. So me being at a power school like Penn State, I really primarily only want to get 5 stars, 4 stars. If I get 3 stars, I want them to be local. And by local, I mean checking this pipeline tier here. Again, X or square on PlayStation, you can press that to filter, and this will show you all the strongest pipeline guys that are on your list. So, identifying needs, then I come down to interest. I'll focus on 5-star, 4-star guys. I will look at pipeline. Pipeline is a big deal. Ironically, I did get an insta commit from a non-pipeline guy, but you also have a higher probability of getting insta commits from guys that you're number one on their list. You won't get it from guys that you're number 2 or number 3. So once we've established here need, interest, pipeline, again, looking at the star rating, I will then go and select people. And you can do this first either. I just keep it on any, but if you have quarterbacks, for example, right? I've scouted 2, or I've targeted 2. You see here, it's these 2 guys here. One's a 3-star, local, Virginia, or not local, but pipeline is the strongest they can get. And then I have this other quarterback, Stoner, here, who is a 3-star as well. That's 4-star. So, I'm sorry, 3-star that is a 4-star pipeline. Or a grade 4 pipeline. So I chose not to go after this 4-star quarterback primarily because of I'm 7th on the interest list, and if you see here, I am well behind Alabama, Ohio State, USC, LSU, and Florida. So 5 other users. And then I'm going to tell you guys one other thing here before I go to my actual board. When I'm evaluating some of the people I want to go to, especially if there may be guys I want to chase that I'm maybe, like, again, just right here, for example, 7th on this particular quarterback's list, if I see that there is no users or maybe one user in there that's like 5th or somewhere I can make a move on this guy where I'm not fighting with a lot of people, sometimes I will offer a scholarship and throw some points on him the following week just to see if I can move up his board. Because sometimes what happens is people will take points off their recruits and not put as much into them if they see that they got a substantial lead on people. A lot of people back off, which is smart if you're trying to preserve their points, right? As you see, I have 1,125 hours here with Penn State. I don't get to spend all those towards points to the recruit until next week here, which will be advancing shortly. So right here, what it is, this is the actual recruiting board. So once you've targeted your targets up to 35, this will have your guys listed here. And I always prefer to go off the interest meter of who is first, and I have them at the top of the list. That's who I want to prioritize. And the reason why that is important is because you're more likely to get guys to sign quicker if you are first. And what I mean by quicker is if you already have an established lead, you put points in there, other people will fall off and not put as much points in there once they see that you have a lead on a guy. And just for example, we'll look at this first for this right tackle, Filipovich. We're in preseason, but Ohio State already has a lower pipeline than me, and they're behind me. Not by much, but they haven't even offered him yet. I could see why Ohio State would not want to go after him. Now, users like Notre Dame and Nebraska, they wouldn't offer them again, not having as strong as pipeline tier as myself. It's going to make it pretty difficult for them. So if I do this and I maintain my recruiting method here and my strategy of maintaining and prioritizing these guys here at the top, these guys should sign with me no problem. And then what that will do as the season progresses and these guys sign, it will allow me to disperse more hours and points into other recruits. So now here, getting into how you want to prioritize these guys. I prefer to have interest guys at the top. So if you want Filipovic here, for example, let's say this guy Bollinger, we want Filipovic to be number 4, and we want Bollinger to be 1. What I can do is move them just like I did. Is if you hold RT or R2 on PlayStation, and you can move him up or down wherever you want on the list, and then release the button to order. And so I'm really big on doing this. I think it helps you keep your priorities straight with the recruits that you want to go after. Whichever recruits you value the most, that's going to be a very important thing. So I'm going to move these guys back to where I had them. But you can put these guys in any particular order you want. That will help you if you want to do it by position. That to be a lot more time consuming. But also, as you add guys off your prospect list, if you go and if I go and target these guys in order here, 1, 2, 3, 4, then they will appear on your recruiting board as 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you want to do that kind of method, you could do that by recruiting by position first, adding guys to your board. But again, I think the interest way is the best and most efficient way, especially to get recruits early and is helping you establish lead on certain guys. So that is going to be that. Now we're going to get into the putting our points in our guide. So the first preseason week here, we have 1,100 hours, 1,125, is you can offer scholarships and you can scout. Now with smaller schools, like in our other video with South Alabama, I had 500 recruiting hours. And if you set your board at 35 recruits and you offer a scholarship to 5 guys, that's 175 points gone. That leaves you 325 to scout. That's not enough to get everybody scouted. Here at Power School with more recruiting hours, you can absolutely offer scholarships and fully scout everybody. I actually still didn't. I think that's because of the archetype that my coach I chose for this. So here is, I like offering scholarships right away over the scouting. Main reason being is if you're first on guys, they have a chance to insta commit versus if they're not first on your school order. So once you've offered them, they don't sign, cool. I will offer all 35, as you've seen. That's what that little white paper with the handshake is to the right of their names. And then you'll see the binoculars to the left that is scouted. So after I've offered all my scholarships, I will then go to scouting. You press A, get your points. And then here is something else I factor into the players I'm going to prioritize going after. I like if guys have abilities. Abilities obviously are kind of key. They've been key in Madden, and now they are key in NCAA here. So right now, I know I have a lot of guys with abilities on my board, despite them being all these 4-star guys. Here's one that is a DT power rusher. Got some receivers with press pro. I may end up reorganizing this depth chart or recruiting chart here to move these guys up. But again, you can set this board up however you want, offer your scholarships, and then scout. Now, one other thing to note. Once you've offered a guy, and let's say I get an insta commit like we did here with this tight end, if you already offered him and he signs, you can't scout him. You can't unlock. So I won't know what his potential is until the season's over. So that's going to really wrap up the recruiting aspect. Again, let's just recap it real quick. Team needs, go to interest, then we'll go to pipeline, and we'll look at star rating. And if you want to do rate interest with rating and then view it as pipeline, you can do that as well too. I prefer interest though, and then I like looking at the pipeline to seeing who I may or may not have an advantage over. And then again, once you come over to the recruiting board, after you've done all this, you then set your board however you would like it, offer scholarships. And then the cool thing too is, right, let me not do a guy that I'm first on, but let's say ninth, right? I offer this guy. This will show me, as long as I'm in the top 9, it will show me how far off I am on this guy. If you look at Notre Dame, them being 1, or Alabama at 8, how far I am to make into that projected cutoff. Now, the thing is, they're really close to the top 8. One of the reasons why I jumped after a guy like this, by the way, is because although I'm not first, I'm not crazy far behind Notre Dame and Clemson, but I have a 5-tier rated pipeline, and the other 6 schools in front of me have not offered a scholarship. So I have a strong feeling I can get into the top 3, at least make this top 8 cutoff, and then based on the other players, do I really want to make a run at this guy? Very similar here to the number 6 guy is, Virginia Tech, UNC, their CPU teams they haven't offered, but I feel like I can possibly sneak in there, not only to the top 8 since I'm already in there, but I can have a real shot at trying to land this guy. But it also depends on where these guys fall and how I'm prioritizing stuff. I don't want to waste points chasing a guy if I can put points into someone else that I'm already first in. So that's really going to wrap up this on the recruiting aspect of it. Let me show you 2 other things here. I'm just going to show you my coaching archetype I chosen for a custom coach. I chose recruiter. So with recruiter, what you do is you get to takes less time to fully scout this first tier here on the level 1 recruiter. So this is actually extremely good. I always think recruiter is the best archetype to go with. With A&M, I actually have recruiter also, and then my South Alabama one, I probably should have picked recruiter. I picked motivator, which was player development, which I thought was going to be key for a small school. So again, pick these, and you will get a good idea of the best way to attack your program. Again, it's literally all subjective. If you want recruiting, I feel like recruiting helps you get the guys in, but I also feel like motivator is going to help your guys develop. So even if you don't get the high-level recruits, if you have a good motivator, it's going to improve the team vastly. One other thing people don't talk about or know, red shirts. I did not talk about this in the South Alabama video. So coming into red shirts here, this is a super important aspect of all dynasties. I don't care what your team is. Automatically, I have senior Drew Aller, 92. And what I look at here is, even though I got 5 quarterbacks, I have 3 guys that are eligible. These 2 guys are freshmen. Neither guy is my second best guy, but the ratings aren't crazy far apart. So for me is, I'm not going to waste a year of Grunkmeyer and Wilder just so they can play. What I'm going to do is I'm going to redshirt these guys. I got 3 other quarterbacks that can play. And then that way, these guys will be further established, and I will have a sophomore, 2 redshirt freshmen, then a sophomore here, while my senior gets to graduate. And so I will have quarterbacks for the next couple years here if I don't decide to recruit any other ones. So super big on making sure that you capitalize on what guys are playing for you and not wasting years. Again, here's a situation. Penn State's got ridiculous running backs. Now, the funny thing, what I got to look at now is at the beginning of the screen, because I didn't know this was going to happen, was when we first logged in at the video, I have 4 running backs that are ready to transfer out, or highly dangerous for transferring. Ironically, it's these 4 guys. I got 2 seniors here. There's no point in redshirting a 93 or 92 senior unless I wanted to just keep one of them. But I'm not overly concerned with that. But again, here I redshirted this freshman. Then you go, again, we're going to apply this to every position. I'm not going to go through every position, but I'm going to show you here. This doesn't make sense. All these guys minus my best receiver, 90. I got 4 seniors. No point in wasting a freshman's year by not redshirting them. Be smart with that. Now, this is a situation here. I got 4 tight ends. I absolutely could redshirt this guy Reynolds as well. But I'm actually going to play Reynolds and start him just because he's 88 speed, 93 excel. That's absurd for a tight end, especially at 6'4", 252. So again, there's certain things, and again, everybody has their own methodology they want to use and how they want to approach their team building. But that is one of the main ways I look at maintaining my key players and maybe not wasting a year on anybody that doesn't need it to be. So obviously a few of these positions here, I got a good young right edge here, another one here, freshman and a sophomore, and I got these 2 freshmen that are already redshirted. It doesn't make sense to play these guys when I have that kind of depth. And again, you just kind of go through every position. You just do the exact same thing. And that is really going to wrap it up for the redshirting portion of it. But again, I feel like that's something that everybody should know. And then depth chart, setting it to what you like. So I'm going to show you really just wide receiver and tight end, for example. But, I got this guy, Clifford, because he's a route artist and he's got sure hands, double dip layout. I'll probably line this guy from the slot, but I also really like this guy, Saunders. A little bit smaller. This guy's got some elite abilities. He's the guy I could put in the slot. These 2 guys are really good outside. Usually now, if I got a big outside threat, I don't know if Penn State has any. Oh, Luke Reynolds, but okay. If I had like a 6'4", like possession receiver or physical receiver, I actually like lining those guys up outside and then putting my faster guys in the slot, especially guys like this that have the cutter ability. They both got it right here. Cutter ability is so good because they run their routes a lot crisper and they cut a lot sharper. So really setting your depth chart up to the way you like. And this is what I talked about here. I'm going to change this now. We're going to put Reynolds as our starting tight end. The other thing what I like about on top of the speed, he has a 50-50 ability, which is when they throw it up, he has the possibility of catching those one-on-one jump balls. So that is very crucial to the play style that I prefer. So again, just going through your depth chart, making sure that the positions are the guys you want. We already talked about recruiting. We did our red shirts, depth chart. And what we're going to do here for the last thing is I am going to make sure I post all of my gameplay for this. I'm going to post recruiting before my games so that way you guys can see the progression I've done each week. And this will be across all 3 of my dynasties with A&M, South Alabama, and Penn State. I'm going to show you that the recruiting methodology, regardless of the archetype you choose, will be effective, and we're going to build these championship rosters. So if you guys appreciate and like the video and you guys feel like you learned something or something you want to apply, like the video, comment on the channel something you think I missed or if there's something you want to be covered in a later video. Sub to the channel, never miss an upload for NCAA 26. We also have a Patreon site coming soon here in a week or 2 where we're going to drop exclusive content for all players, all skill levels, all game modes that want to get better at the game. I appreciate you guys. Until the next one, Lose the Animal out.